Hello, I'm John Britton with today's history lesson. Actually, I'm not going to do the history, but my guests are. I'm talking to Pam Campbell-Smith and Tag Carpenter. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
You are representing the, let me get it right, Duxbury Online Historical Archives.
Yes.
Did I do it right?
Yep.
Oh, good. All right. What's the organization do? You archive history for Duxbury? How did this get started? I'll ask you three questions at once, then I can shut up. What do you do? Who started it? And what is your mission?
We started 2 years ago. We sat down with then town manager Richard McDonald and asked if he thought the town was interested in preserving digitally records and having them available online. And we also wanted to make other records available online, easy access. So that's how the Historic Archives Online.
Okay, this was about a year ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, December or fall of 2012?
October 2012.
Okay.
Richard called together a group of like minds who love history and asked who was interested in doing this. And Tag was one of those people.
And Tag, your background up until then was what then? How did he know to call you?
I've been serving with the Historical Commission in town for a few years, and one of the great people in Town Hall, Anne Murray, forwarded an email to me from a researcher, I think in Roger Williams University in Rhode Island, who was asking Town Hall about the availability online for historical research, information about Duxbury, and was frustrated, expressing her frustration about not being able to find anything. And so Anne forwarded this to me and said, would you like to get involved in trying to put some of Duxbury's history online? So of course I said, I'd be happy to get involved.
Why not? Well, I can tell you it's probably long overdue. I was sort of involved in the old library in Duxbury when we were moving to the new library, and I found archival material literally in the back of filing cabinets starting to rot away. And I said, there's got to be a better way to do this, and then I got involved. So hopefully that's what you guys are doing, among other things.
Yep.
You're taking the archival, what we used to call paper, and putting it in digital form. So somebody could go online now, right? Because the website is up and running.
We've been scanning documents, town documents, and then we've had volunteers who are transcribing and abstracting those documents, and then we have been loading them onto the website and then putting in keywords so that in the document it might say John Alden. That keyword is fed into the website. So if you were to go visit the website today, it's on the Town of Duxbury website, and you would select About Duxbury, and then you'd have be offered Historic Archives. Select that, and then just type in a historic name from Duxbury's past and see what comes up.
Like Mr. Alden. I mean, so you don't have your own necessarily website. You go first to the Town of Duxbury.
We do have our own website.
And that website is what? And
Duxbury Historic Archives.
Okay.
.org.
.org. Okay, so you can go directly there, or you can go on the Duxbury Town, and on that green margin, look for archives there. Then you do kind of like a Google search. You type in your relative, maybe your great-grandfather's name, and see if...
There's a search on the site, and the site is a compendium of scanned documents and images of items, historical items have been found. And this is what makes it unique. You know, if you go into Google search and you put in a search term, you get 1,000 pages, and you have to look at every page and try and figure out what's relevant. Whereas this is a digitally curated collection of items of historical relevance to Duxbury. So the volunteers who work on the site are taking the time to go through all the material and read it, you know, line by line, and verify what's there, and put in the search terms to really bring the value of the information out and make it accessible to people. Because this has been the problem that there are many historical organizations in Duxbury with tremendous resources, but if you go and try to find out about them on the internet, it's quite difficult.
Okay.
So they were trying to sort of break that logjam and help to publicize and promote the value of some of Duxbury's historical artifacts.
Okay. Now, if someone went on there, if I went on there and I thought, okay, I have a relative that was here in 17 whatever, and I went in and, I'm sorry to keep saying it, but Googled, I don't know the real term for it, but I type in the name and nothing comes up, but I'm convinced they were here, who would I contact? Or could I call somebody in your organization? Or email you or say, hey, how come you didn't put in John Simpson?
You should go to the website and contact us and tell us the name that you were searching for. And maybe a volunteer can also look for that name and see if it was mistakenly left out of the document, because humans do make errors. We do have that disclaimer on the website. But certainly they should go and contact us and tell us the person's name when they thought they lived in Duxbury or whatever, and then we could have a volunteer look that up.
And that's when you say, by the way, if you'd like to volunteer to help look it up, we'd be happy to have you in our group.
That's right.
Okay.
We're looking for volunteers.
And I think we should emphasize that this is really just started. And it took us a year to sort of get organized and figure out the approach and learn about the different tools that were available, software. And then it's been in the last year where we've really gotten some momentum and put the site up and done the scanning. But I don't know if you know, Pam, at this point how many pages there are, or objects. We refer to a page as an object. It's probably approaching 1,000 at this
about
point.
800.
But just within the property of the town, which is not managed by any other historical entity other than town government, there are thousands and thousands of pages of historical documentation and relevance, school records and birth and death records and whatnot.
Now, do you plan to ultimately scan all of those digitally?
That would be our goal, to get all of that information indexed and cataloged and searchable.
Okay.
So it's not all searchable yet.
Right. You said you had a problem once. You have an assistant or another volunteer there was having a hard time reading the documents in the old...
We have a helper who's 22 years old, and she just happened to look over my shoulder at what I was scanning, and then I gave it to her, and she couldn't read THE.
Okay.
She can't read script. And so this is something else to talk about, is how we partner with the senior center, because they have a computer lab, and we go up there at least once a week now, and we're uploading information on the computers there, and we're saving it. But that partnership with the seniors who can read script, you got it. So any seniors... I have to admit,
I can't write script anymore. But then, of course, I still wear a watch.
Yeah. And at the same time, we should mention we have a high school junior who's been helping us. And so we try to tap the different age groups and what talents they might have. And if you're 60 years old, you can read script very well, and you could be a big volunteer and help us. And if you're 16 years old, they're very computer savvy, they're very fast, and they upload the documents we give them. And they're learning, and they're making their community points to graduate from high school. So everybody's
there you go.
participating.
Get some extra points and have fun. What are you doing? Where do you work out of? Do you have an office or space somewhere that you can...
Well, we meet fairly regularly at the Alden Barn in Duxbury.
Okay.
And then we will meet at the senior center when we're uploading information.
Is that something that someone could attend if they're interested, maybe join your group?
They could, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you post it online anywhere, or at the bulletin board at the town hall? Or?
We don't, but if they were interested, again, they would go to our website.
There's that website again.
And contact us.
I have a
right
feeling
there.
you want to go
There's
to that
a little
website.
tab there, and you just contact us, and you could just say, I'm interested in volunteering, and could I meet you some weekday that you're at the senior center, and we could run through the drill with them, see what they'd like to help us with.
Good. So in other words, age is not a problem. You're taking everybody
Right.
from well, what's it,
16, yeah.
16 to 96.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you done any interviews, any original interviews yet? Is that a goal at some point of sitting down? I'm thinking of a person I know in town who's 99 years old and has seen an awful lot in that 99 years.
Yeah.
Is that something you might be working toward at some point? I mean, what are you going to do when you run out of pages? Even though there's 20,000 of
Yeah,
them.
we would like to do that.
Okay.
There's a app, is it called Dragonfly? Dragon...
Something.
At the senior center, they have this app on their iPads, and they go out and they sit down with seniors and record a story.
Okay.
And so they've they've started that at the senior center. Again, we'd like to partner and maybe add some of those to this website.
Okay. Are they doing I'll give them a little plug since you brought them up and you're working with them. When you said they have a computer lab or something there, is that a volunteer? I mean, are they giving classes in how to use a computer?
They do.
I've got to go to that then.
Okay.
How often do they meet?
I
I know how to turn mine on and off, and after that it gets a little scary.
They have lifelong learning classes there that they offer 2 sessions during the year.
Okay.
So you would probably call over there.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Are you getting volunteers from there? I would think there would be some volunteers to be had at the senior
Yeah,
center.
we do.
Good.
We've had volunteers that have helped us with the transcribing and abstracting the documents.
Okay. Do you need funding? We all need funding sometime, but are you funded at all by the CPA?
Yeah, the Historical Commission sponsored an article through the CPC in the last year to purchase digital scanners and hard drive storage equipment for the documents that the committee has been creating.
All right, good. Hey, good luck to you. Okay, thank you very much. Tad Carpenter and Pam Campbell-Smith, who's kind of the ringleader, I think. Thanks for coming on. Go to the website and see some historical stuff about Duxbury. Good night.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know, wherever you are.
Continuing with the show, we have 3 people now that are going to put a little meat on the bones that we talked about earlier. So we know what the mission is of the committee here, if you will, and we got a little more detail going on. Judy Flynn is here with me, Matt Vigneaau, and Terry REIBER, and you guys sort of do the nuts and bolts things that help fill in some of the gaps, etc. So Judy, you as a genealogist are not in charge of necessarily. You all work together, but you're doing a lot of the scanning of the archival material.
Right. What I tend to do is I work with Pam and other volunteers, and we go through the town clerk and see what records they might have, and then we scan the documents that we have, and we'll be showing you on screen an example of the town treasurer's report back to 1836, and what our objective is to make all of these records open to everyone, and you can see what the town spent in 1836.
The town budget was $6,000 back then?
$6,000 for the year.
That's before we had a high school.
Right. But there is the education budget included in there, and taxes unpaid, and how much it costs for an almshouse.
That is fun.
So what you can see is the amount that we started with, and what they had to give out, and it's done as basic accounting.
Now, where were all these documents? These are fascinating.
These documents are in the town hall.
Okay. Okay.
And they're in a safe, and as you can see, they're getting very old and spotted, and everything is getting digitized, and we decided that this would be a good thing for us to do.
Okay.
And looking at these particular documents, what we see is that things haven't changed. They were still having problems with budgets.
Oh, yeah? Were the taxes still going up?
Taxes were still going up. They were very conservative as far as what they wanted to spend their money on. And we have other documents that break down other divisions. For example, we have documents from the almshouse to see who donated a pig or a certain piece of maybe some logs or woods, so that would be running.
Now, were these in any particular order, or is that part of what you all have had to do?
They're in order by date.
They are chronological.
They are chronological, and they're also by reports. So all the treasurer's reports are together, and all of the almshouse reports are together.
Now, if I go on, I'll ask Matt this question. Matt, if I go online, which we talked about in the first half of this, that you can go on and, again, I don't know the word for it, Google a person's name. Can you go on and say, like you talk about, like taxes or treasurer's report?
We can search by keywords, and so part of the digitization process is harnessing some of the data. I mean, it's one thing to just scan something and put it up, but if you can't search it, you know, I mean, it's still worthwhile, but it's much more worthwhile to be able to scan and pull data out of the document, especially because, you know, I think for this type of project, it's servicing a number of different constituents. So you have someone interested in genealogy, so they're going to be interested in looking for names and records of that nature. But in this case here, it's kind of getting a better understanding of the history of the town and its evolution and how things you know, were in, you know, the 1800s. And I think the other, you know, the real important part of this is, well, two things. First, preservation. You want these documents aren't going to be around forever. The town records have burnt themselves on a couple of occasions. So we've lost, you know, certain records already. We certainly don't want that to happen going forward. And
You should
secondly,
have told the IRS this.
Right.
It's
right.
another thing. Okay.
And the second part is access. So
Yeah.
you know, it's you know, these records exist, but we need to have access to them, and not just, you know, as Tag mentioned earlier, you know, certain people having access to them. We want to have access to a broad range of people, and not just within town, because you know, I run the Alden Kindred of America in town, and we have people come from all over the country that are really interested in this these type of documents. And a lot of times they don't have access, and so if they're living in Iowa, for instance, and they're looking for this kind of information,
They're not going to fly into the Alden.
no, well, we
house.
hope they would, right? But no, typically they're going to be looking online, and so
Well, you almost have to these days. We're looking for the next generation. We talked about in the first half here how some of them can't even read script anymore. You start to wonder whether or not they're going to read pages if it's not on the screen.
and it's difficult.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
it is, as they mentioned earlier, it is difficult, and you know, we are searching for volunteers for this type of work, but for all types of work, really. But you know, to get back to it, the important part is preserving this part of our history and providing access to it.
Right.
And oftentimes it's really hard to get at. And I think people don't understand how difficult it can be for the layperson or someone that doesn't do it on a regular basis.
Yeah, well, I just went on, and I'm an idiot, and I could get on there. So, Terry, you kind of took not a different route exactly, but you got a little something more tangible, if you will, from the paper. You went out and found some sort of archaeological finds, right?
Yeah, actually I found some Neolithic objects here in Duxbury, basically stone tools. And at the time I wasn't aware that there were people living in Duxbury 5,000–6,000 years ago.
I didn't know.
And when I found these tools, I was quite amazed. And actually I put an article in the Duxbury Clipper, and it was one of the first collections we put up is the stone tools I found. And as well, there are other collectors around who have found items in Duxbury as well. And I put up about 9 photos of different types of objects like adzes, axes. I actually found this little weight that goes on the end of a spear thrower, which kind of, to me, it looked like a shark's tooth, but it had a hole drilled through it, so I knew it was kind of weird. But I was basically brought on to the committee as a software person, so I actually wrote the software and the code to allow the group to be able to upload the images into the website, to record all the data around the website, and then present the front end that people use to go through collections or search through things. So we couldn't find any sort of off-the-shelf software that could do this, so I wrote the software to do it.
Okay, good for you.
But as well, I have a genuine interest because, you know, I put up the collection of Neolithic objects.
Do I assume then there's photographs of what you found? Obviously, how about 3D? Can you put 3D up there now?
Not
How's
too
that
sure
work?
about
No.
3D, but yeah, we basically take photos of the objects, and as we upload them, it creates a thumbnail, which is just a small image that you can see to say, gee, I'm really interested in looking at this. And then if you click on that item, it then brings up a fairly chunky, large image that you can fill your screen up and really look at in detail.
Okay.
And then the database itself has more information about
I was
what
just going to ask, so you
years
did the
this is.
research of what am I looking at?
Yeah,
What year
yeah.
might this have been, and
Yeah.
et cetera.
Yeah, with the Neolithic objects, I went out to a group that works out of Plymouth that actually, there's about 20 or 30 collectors in this group, and they were able to help me identify what I had, as well as offered me other objects that I could look at and take photos of and then bring that up on the site.
That's
So,
neat.
both a coder type, but I also think it's just the different possibilities of what you could do for collections is endless on this site.
Yeah, I'd like to add that we're not collecting things. We're digitizing things. So if people have items that, you know, they want to hang on to, we're not taking them forever. We're taking that item, photographing it or scanning it, making it available to others, but you maintain.
Well, that's a great idea. So if someone has a chair from great-great-granddad or something?
Correct. Yes. We're not a collecting group at all.
Right.
I mean, like in the case of the Alden Kindred, I mean, we have a lot of reunion photos, for instance, that we're going to be scanning and providing into this, and so people that are researching, they love to see the people. Sometimes it's one thing to see the name, but to go the next step and actually see the people, it's really I think it's a nice resource for people, and everyone has stuff.
Too much stuff.
Sometimes, yes, but we want to be that repository where we're able to almost be an open forum for people to submit requests to us and then be able to present it into a searchable database, which is a really excellent resource for not only Duxbury but for everyone else.
Right. Have you, I show you how little I know about this thing. Do you have links to other similar kind of sites, or like if somebody's going on a historical site in Kansas, we talked about, or whatever state we mentioned, is there some way to link into your?
We do have links to some other historical references, but right now we have about 2,000 people visiting our website every month.
You can count that.
Yeah, all those statistics are recorded. As well, we record the statistics of how many people viewed a particular object. So for instance, I was just looking today, and one of the items we have called an odds and ends is a musket ball that I found on the path around Round Pond, and I believe there's around 270 views. 270 times people come in and taking a look at the musket ball. And most of our objects are getting several hundred views.
Terry, I have to ask, how did you know it was a musket ball? If I was walking along a trail, I'm not sure.
I didn't actually. I thought it was a white Mento, those mints.
Okay, so you're
and I thought, who would spit a mint out? And I picked it up and it was like really heavy. And then I got it home and I looked it up and it was a musket ball.
I'll be darned.
But I'm the sort of person I walk around looking down all the time. So around Round Pond, I found the Neolithic objects, I found a musket ball, and I found all sorts of other little bric-a-bracs as well.
Well, Duxbury had a dig. Was it last year? Is that ongoing? Were you participating in the dig?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No.
Do you have access to what they found?
No, they're totally separate.
Okay, well, get together.
We're trying. We'd love to have them join us.
Whatever they find, we'd be willing to scan and put up online and index it. But people, I think, are coming from all over the world to look at this.
Yeah.
That's neat.
And it's a rich area. I mean, if you think beyond, the colonial period here. I mean, the Native American populations that were here for, as Terry mentioned, thousands of years. This area is rich in history that goes beyond us, and I think sometimes we walk by things all the time and don't even think twice about it. So, I think people should be mindful of that, and when they're out and about, you never know what you're going to find, and it's good to, keep an eye peeled.
Well, I'd go on site because, you grow up around something, you forget. I worked in New York City right after college, and I worked with adults, men who had grown up in Long Island or Brooklyn, had never been to the Statue of Liberty, had never been to the top of the Empire State Building because, well, that's for tourists. It was right next door. And so, every once in a while we have to be reminded, hey, by the way, there's a history here that you might be interested in, even if you grew up here. Maybe you haven't been to the graveyard or haven't seen this, or a Mento musket ball.
And this gives people a chance to become a part of that story, too. That's another, probably important piece of this is, it's one thing to have something in your own possession, but then to offer it up to everyone else, you become part of that. And I think that's a nice aspect to this is, people can take what they have and share it. I think people should, consider, volunteering and contacting, going to our website and seeing how they can get involved.
Right. So looking for volunteers, are you?
Always looking.
Did we ask for volunteers yet?
Yes, several times, and we keep
we'll
asking.
ask again.
And we'll train them. We can train them. We've learned how to look at script and when an S is an F or an F is an S, and we have some documents that we can teach you with.
You don't have sort of, quote, normal hours then where you're doing the scanning whenever you can, Judy, you just do it.
It's all volunteer.
Okay. And do you have the equipment, I asked this before probably, do you have the equipment at your house or where?
No, actually the town will have a scanner at Town Hall that will be able to scan future documents. Up until now, Western Reprographics in Hingham has been very generous donating their equipment to us, but we're a little
Good.
nervous about taking things out of the town hall.
Yeah,
So
well, give him a plug. The town manager, though, as I understand, and give him credit, is very much behind this project,
Yes.
as Pam was saying
Yes.
earlier in the show.
Yes.
And as we found out, or she found out, and then told me, he was either a history major or certainly a history buff in college.
Yep, Rainey Reed.
Rainey Reed. So we thank him. So
Absolutely.
shout out to the town manager.
And a shout, a thank you to the town of Duxbury, because they voted this in and voted support on this. So
Okay.
you have to, tip your hat to them as well.
Am I helping pay for this? I live in Duxbury. Am I?
you are.
We
didn't ask for very much.
Paying for something aside from the high school? Oh, that's good. And the police station? That's fine. Okay. No.
Yeah, I
this,
mean,
this is a good one. This does not cost me much.
Yeah, I mean, the website hosting isn't very expensive at all.
Right.
I think just an initial capital cost of we got a book scanner. It's got actually can scan 2 pages at a time, and you can literally just page through it, and it snaps pictures, and you could do a 100-page book in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Now, we haven't actually got that scanner yet. We're just in the process of going through the purchase order and
Okay.
getting it in, but
Good. Well,
something
something-
like that is going to be really helpful
Something
for
I work
us.
for. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been very informative, and thank the guys earlier today. Good luck with you. And remind you again, you go online to the town of Duxbury and then look down that green thing and find out where the archives are. And you may be surprised. You may find out your great-grandfather did something important. So thanks again, and thanks for watching. I'm John Britton. Goodbye.